Hey parents, welcome to today's episode. I am thrilled to have Michelle Park, a mom with a daughter who has BPD, back with us to talk about how to let go. Is this one of the tough ones? It's a great episode. Enjoy. Hey everybody, we're so glad you're back, and we are very excited to have Michelle Park with us again. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Beth.
Oh,
How
I'm
are
so
you?
glad to have you here and to bring all your experience. I love, because I feel like we're just talking mom to mom, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
And
definitely.
yeah, so something that you experienced that I know what we've mentioned a little bit, I think in the last podcast, but I really wanted to get into more is your process of really letting go and trying to figure out like what was in your lane, I guess, if you will, and then what was in your daughter's lane. And really, it can feel very entangled, right?
Mhm. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. What were
Um,
would you mind kind of sharing with us just to relate to all the parents who are listening, some things that you felt were very uh, kind of messy and very entangled? Do you mind?
yeah, no, not at all. I think the hardest thing for me was, because my daughter had so many maladaptive coping skills like substance use and self-harm, suicidality. I was terrified anytime she was in her room by herself with the door
Uh,
closed and there was actually before we understood her that she had a mental illness, we thought she was a rebellious teenager. I mean, we just didn't know enough to know that what she was doing was actually pathologic. We just thought she was a rebellious teenager.
right. Or
So,
maybe that she was just being a jerk to you or something.
yeah, yeah. I mean, she was
Yeah.
she was like not ever really mean to me, but she was clearly doing things she shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
She's sneaking
Did
out
you?
at night.
Oh yeah. Did you
Um,
feel though like it was personal,
oh yeah.
or how would you
Yeah,
have
that's
described it?
interesting. Yeah, I think I don't know that I thought it was personal. I thought it was more like she was at a new school and she had kind of hooked up with a different crowd. And I just thought that they were influencing her behavior and got her
Got it.
into all these things. And she, to my knowledge, hadn't been doing those before. And everyone reads or hears that like kids go through a phase like that where they push the envelope a little bit and try to see what they can get away with. And I just kind of
Right.
thought that's what it was.
Okay.
And if it was, then I couldn't understand why she wouldn't just stop doing it when we
Right.
told her to.
Oh my gosh. I think that just what you said right there
Mhm.
is it's very complex and hard to understand why someone would choose that. And I think parents sit in that spot of just complete confusion. Is
Mhm.
that the right word? What?
Yeah, totally confused. And,
Yeah.
my husband and I are both like straight arrows, didn't ever do anything like that. And so yeah, we just didn't understand.
Yeah.
And because we didn't realize, we kind of knew she had a mental illness, but we didn't understand that it was connected to her behaviors.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we thought they were
Oh,
all
and
volitional. Go
and
ahead.
and and I, if case someone hasn't listened to the podcast, will you just let us know what she had? Is that okay?
Yes, yeah, yeah, no problem. My daughter, she's 21 now, but at about 17, she was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder,
Okay.
and then had a number of other things that often are, seen in people with borderline personality disorder. She had an eating disorder. She had substance abuse. She was behaving in a promiscuous manner, sneaking out in the middle of the night, those kinds of things.
Okay.
Which,
Thanks for that.
at the time, because we didn't understand her illness, we thought it was all volitional. And so we did the very thing of basically locking her down for a year and a half. We
Great.
put bars on her windows. We changed the alarm code so she couldn't sneak out of the house
Oh,
at night. We
yeah. Oh,
never let her drive in a car. I mean,
and of course you did that because you're thinking we need to put boundaries up and we need to
yeah,
control her and we
we
need
need to
to
save her life.
this.
Mhm.
Yes, and save her life. Yes. I know there's so many parents who of course would do that. And I know therapists who, if they didn't understand what was going on, would recommend that.
Mm,
I've heard that before. It's like, oh,
interesting.
we
Yeah.
don't really know what we're dealing with. And so it's like, oh, we can stop this.
Right.
We
Right.
just need to put some guardrails up.
Yeah. 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 Literal ones.
Uh,
Yeah. And I mean, we found out later after she got appropriate treatment for her disease, that
great.
probably wasn't the best thing to do. It was probably very invalidating for her,
Oh,
probably made her feel completely incompetent.
like escalated her
Yeah.
her
Yeah.
issues and her
No,
like, get me
definitely.
out of here kind of a thing.
Definitely. And,
Okay.
we kind of went through a period of feeling really sort of guilty about it. But again, we were just trying to keep her alive. We didn't know any other
Yes.
way. We didn't know what we didn't know.
Yeah. That's such
Yeah.
a, but that's worth pausing for. I think that's so important because just as a fellow parent, there can be so much guilt and shame with our past actions.
Mhm.
And many parents, if not all parents, literally are just doing the best they can in that moment and with the
Mhm.
education and the skills that we have. And so what's so important is that at some point, I guess you realized that wasn't working, right?
Yes. Well,
Or how did that come around?
honestly, we actually, so that was in her last year or so of high school that we did that. And our plan was we moved across the country with her
That's right.
for her to go to college. And we were just going to live really close to her school. We were going to get her this locked prescription box so that she wouldn't have access to like all her meds at once. We were going to have the numbers for all her friends so that if there was, if she wasn't answering, we could find out where she was. I mean, we were going to kind of continue and take this
More
little bubble,
containment.
bring it across the country. And it wasn't until she got specific treatment for borderline personality disorder in Massachusetts, where we relocated, that they very gently and kindly said, That's not really the way you do it."
Yeah. That's
Um,
so great. So that's back to the letting go. What did you
right.
learn was the thing you needed to let go, the things that you needed to let go of?
So we needed to let go of the idea that we could save her life, that we really had any power over her. I mean, over her disease. We had
Yeah.
to let go, let her treatment team take the reins, and
That
that was
that is such a hard, we say that, and I think the parents who've done that kind of extensive work of really letting go of being able to save them.
yeah.
I remember when Mike, I was a life coach at the time, had said, "You will never and can't ever save him." And I remember just bawling at the reality and the truthfulness of that,
Right, right.
right? It's
Yeah.
very hard to own that reality, I think. So,
No, definitely, definitely. This was a process. So, she was in Massachusetts getting treatment and then she went to Texas.
right.
Texas was a whole other level of letting go because in Massachusetts, I was able to visit her every weekend, talk to her on the phone every night. Texas, not so much.
Right.
We
So
saw
even
her.
just letting go of like the day-to-day thing?
Yeah. And also letting go of the fact that I could keep her the safest. I was the only one who could keep her safe. So,
Right.
I didn't know what they were doing in Texas. I didn't have any contact with her. And even though they told me they were going to keep her safe, how did I know that they were really keeping her safe,
Right.
And
So a letting go of like to professionals, I guess, the people who actually had been
yeah,
educated and had the skills and who are
right.
willing to teach you and help your daughter and you. So that's another
Exactly.
letting go of trusting the facility. And
Yes.
that's hard
Yeah.
because some facilities you don't,
Right.
might not be worth trusting. And some
Right.
facilities definitely are. And they're, not all programs are created equal. So that's
Right.
a very tough ask.
Hmm.
But you sounded like, but you really, and I remember that from the last time you said you guys had chosen this together and you had decided we are going to trust them, which is really great.
Yeah. And I mean, I definitely said that and meant that. It doesn't mean it happened like the day I dropped her off, I
Of
mean,
course.
I had to let go of control. There was a phone number that I could call if I was starting to get really anxious about her. I could call and ask how she was doing, but I couldn't ever just call her.
Mhm.
Um, and so that was hard, like just kind of letting go of knowing where she is all the time, or, letting go of the control that I thought I had over her. And then going through family therapy, it was a lot of letting go of the way that we communicate and adopting new ways of communicating. So,
Oh, right. Just like
um,
the dynamic of
yeah,
communication. Oh,
yeah.
what a great. Yep.
Like I mean, we might have touched on this briefly last time, but I'm a very optimistic person. I'm
That's
the,
right.
light at the end of the tunnel, silver lining, and that doesn't work for my daughter. So,
Or most people, I'll offer,
Yeah.
it's very invalidating for most people,
That's
but
probably true. Yeah. I guess if I mean, yeah, that's probably true. I like to believe that it's just, let's just be positive and happy all the time. And
uh,
but yeah, you're right. It's probably not always helpful. But I had to really let go of that. And just like
mm,
when we were having meetings together, I had to be really careful the way that I worded things. So I had to be validating. And if I couldn't be
mm.
validating, I had to just keep my mouth shut. And I can actually
Oh, yeah.
remember one time, and I did okay. I didn't do great. It took me a while. But I remember one time in a session with a bunch of people, Madeline was very upset about something. Um, and it was very upsetting to me that she was so upset, and she was crying and she was yelling and she was angry. And I knew that I'd say something wrong. And so I didn't say anything for the longest time. And then she mentioned a similar situation that had happened, and she had gotten through that situation.
Okay.
So I reminded her of that. And she swore at me, which she never does.
Okay.
But it was like so invalidating for me to say, "You got through it last time. You can do it this time." And she said, something to the effect of screw that or whatever, but in a little bit more colorful language.
Right. It's a
Um,
little more back to the cheerleading thing,
yes,
which yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
That didn't work. So that was kind of a moment where she actually I actually really appreciated that moment because she's so sweet, never talks to me like that, but it made me realize, "Oh, yeah, you really, really do screw this up sometimes. You really do, like, you're really invalidating to her sometimes, and look, she's now showing you." She never would have said that before, like, before
Oh, so
treatment,
she was
before
learning how
ther
to self-advocate.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
and it was amazing. So, yeah,
Well,
I mean, I had to let go of a lot of, ways that I
yeah, it's
interact with
like
her.
I think it's such a I actually love that you're saying this because you have to tell me this resonates with you, but there were a few times back in the day that I thought, "Why? Why do I have to change so much? Why?" Like, I I am old and I have a lot of and I've done a lot of work and why more? Why do
Right,
I have to change more? Did you
right.
ever
I
Yes.
did, and also it
Yeah.
was, why am I the one why can't she just learn to,
Yes.
when I try to cheer her up, that I'm actually trying to be a good mom, not a bad mom,
Yeah,
like,
why can't they just get it?
why can't she be the one that just, like, says, "Oh, yeah, my mom is right. I did go through this once before, and I came out just fine, so that's probably what's gonna happen again."
Yeah.
Right? Is that so
Yeah.
hard?
Is that so hard? My kid? That's so fascinating. I'm guessing that will relate to a lot of parents. But the truth is that it uh, I'm like such a better mom for doing that work,
Yeah,
right?
definitely,
And learning
100%.
and yeah, and learning that new language. And
Mhm.
my son and I's relationship is so it's always a work in progress, but it's
Mhm.
so much better
Yes.
because of the work that I did. And I'm so grateful that I just kept changing me because that's
Yep,
all I have.
yep.
Because
It's
if I
true.
want them to do it, I will drive
Yeah,
myself
yeah.
crazy with
Because
exhaustion.
they are who they are,
Yeah.
and you are who you are. And you're not changing who you are. You're just changing what you do,
Yes.
And even though it feels sometimes like we're doing more than them, I do think they're working really hard too.
Such a fair
And
yes,
so
absolutely.
they're changing what they do, but they are who they are. And so I can't ask her to not be invalidated when I am a cheerleader. I can't, because
Right.
that's just something that's inside her that she can't change. So it's much easier for me to change the way that I speak to her. And now, because we're kind of out for a while from the hard part, the really hard part, there are still times when I want to fix everything. And we communicate by text mostly now because she's at college. And she'll tell me something that, she's struggling with. And I will say to her, would you like me to give you suggestions, or would you like me to just listen?
Great.
And
Yep.
um,
Best question
I
around.
found, when I give her the choice, she asks for the suggestions. If I just gave her the suggestions, I don't think it would be. She would just, I think, kind of dismiss them. But the fact that I give her the choice, she'll say, "Yeah, sure. Tell me your suggestions." And I've even gotten some text messages that have said, "That's a good idea," which
Is it?
I know, I almost drop my phone when I read them.
Seriously, that is a new day, right? That is a new day. Well, and the belief that I have that really we are the caregivers, right? And
Mhm,
our children, this is adapted from, the program that you and I
mhm.
met at, the right, that I'm a parent coach of, is LPI Houston, which I just amazing program.
Yeah.
That their model is, an attachment model, and that we really do believe that we're the caregivers and
Mhm,
our children are the seekers, and that we have, a somewhat developed cognitive brain, and we
mhm.
really do have more access to change, and that really kind of can be our role, is
Yep.
to not act like a spoiled teenager.
Right. Go figure.
Sorry if that offended anybody, but sometimes I even remember acting like a spoiled teenager, so I feel like I can say that. But I think it's a choice that we get to make if we want to show up differently. And I
Yeah,
love that you said, "I'm not changing who I am. I'm just changing how I say a few things."
yeah,
It's
yeah.
not that hard, right?
Right, right.
It can be hard. I'll take that one back. It
Yeah,
can.
I mean, it's a process. It takes a long time, and I slipped up several times. But
Yeah.
even Madeline's therapist at OPI Houston said, "I don't want you to change who you are. I want you to
Yeah.
be that person that you are, and
Here's some
communicate in a
skills.
way that's yeah, and talk to your daughter this way instead of that way." And which was actually really nice for me to hear because when you are working on this, you do feel like you're changing yourself. Like I did
Uh,
feel, like nobody wants me to be this positive person that I am. Nobody
yeah,
wants
like,
me
what's
to
wrong
look
with
on the right
positive?
side, yeah. Like, I mean, I try to do that for myself. If something's really bad, I try not to get upset and, I try to think of the good things that could come out of it. And why doesn't everybody want to be that way? So,
Right. Well, what you're speaking to, I think, is sometimes we figure out something that really works for us.
hmm
And what you just said, it's like, well, why wouldn't this work for you? But that's because we're not them,
right.
turns out.
Exactly.
Yeah. Where else do you feel like something that you learned to let go of? Where else would you say?
So, since she's been out of treatment, in that whole process, she was in the really kind of intense part of it for 6 months, and then she was in the more like the transitional living part of it for 6 months. So she was in her own apartment with roommates, going grocery shopping, getting a little job, doing all these
Mhm.
things. And at that point, the fear started to come back because I knew they weren't watching her 24 hours a day
Of
anymore. They
course,
weren't
yeah.
checking on her every 15 minutes. Like, how do I know she's not trying to kill herself? And
Yeah, she had
so,
more freedom. Of course, that brings
yeah,
fear. Yeah.
and it all came back. I mean, I slept great when she was on the ranch, and I knew they were checking on her every 20 minutes. And half the time she was there, she was on one because she was suicidal so often.
Yeah.
So I knew there was someone like watching her all the time. And all my fear came back when she went to the apartment. And so the fear part was manageable when she was at the apartment because I did know that they were checking on her more frequently than if she was just kind of like on her own, and I could text her. So that was helpful. We made an agreement that she put on read receipt so that if I text her and she doesn't feel like talking to me, I'll at least be able to see that she's alive because she read the text.
Okay.
And which really looking back, that's not her responsibility. That was that's on me, right? Like
Oh,
that's not
nice
her
one.
responsibility to resolve my anxiety about whether she's alive or not.
Good one.
And
Yep.
so, I've had to let go of that a little bit. And then she came home and she started driving on her own. Like she had had a driver's license, but we never let her drive anywhere because again, we had her locked down like crazy.
Right.
So she started driving and there you go. Like most parents go through this at 16. At 20, 21, she's out. I don't know where she is. She's driving around, and so I became very good at checking her location on my phone.
Quote, good, unquote,
I learned that skill.
obsessed. Was that is that a fair word?
And I thought, like, what's the big deal, right? And then I stumbled on this uh, webinar, I think it was, about fear, basically fear in parenting. And it used a DBT skill based method of dealing with this kind of fear, because what happens is, if I remember all the science right, it's like a baby cries when they're hungry, and then mom feeds them,
Yeah.
and then they're not
As
hungry anymore, they're happy.
Yep.
So then they know that their brain, it's not even really a conscious, like cortex thing, it's like a thinking thing, it's like,
No, it's a system
what
thing.
yeah, when I cry, I get food. So,
Yeah.
if my diaper's wet, I cry, I get my diaper changed. And so your brain kind of does a similar thing. When I check her location, even though I have no power over where she is, when I check her location and she's fine and alive, my brain is like, oh, because you checked her location, she's okay. So just keep checking her location. She's going to be fine.
Aha.
And, again, it wasn't a conscious thing. It was just like this sort of reflex. Like every time I check her location, she's okay. So I just keep checking her location. And then, of course, was then I spiral whenever I don't hear from her,
Yes. Ugh.
whatever.
I hope everyone's listening to this with keen ears.
Yeah. So I have a little kind of acronym that I learned in this class. And I
Okay.
don't know, I can send it to you afterwards if you want to like
Yeah, we
have
can
it
put it in the
written
show notes for
down. Yeah.
sure. But yeah, do you want to just go over it real quick?
Yeah. So the first is fear. So that's the acronym.
Okay.
And the first F is for focus on if this is a real or perceived danger. So if I have no reason to think that she's dead in a ditch somewhere, I shouldn't need to check her look. Like I need to be able to assess, like, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it's sunny, it's not raining,
Right.
she's
Do I
been
have
gone for 10 minutes. Like, is this
Right.
really a real fear?
Right. Or
You
is it
know?
just unknown?
Right, yeah. Or if it's just, yeah, perceived danger. So like you just think there's danger because she's in a car by herself. Like,
Right.
um, and then E is for evaluate if action is helpful and effective. So is it really
Ah.
helpful for me to check her location? Not really. It helps me like a little bit, but really does it? I mean,
Feel like it's a
it
two-edged sword.
right, exactly. I mean, like I check her location, I go, "Oh, I know she's on, Islington Street," but does that really help me knowing where she is? Like, I don't know if she's alive on Islington Street. I don't know if she's meeting a drug dealer. Like, this is not helpful at all. And actually, it
Right.
could be
And your
harmful.
brain starts spiraling and coming up with all the
Totally.
stories and all the
Totally.
irrationalities. It's like,
Yep. 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 So then A is act on safety or opposite action to fear. So acting on safety, if there's a real danger and action is helpful,
yes.
then you act on it, right? So if Madeline, I can't think of a good example, but if Madeline calls me and says, I've been in a car accident, that's a real danger.
And so we
I
move.
need
Or
to drive there. Yeah. And then, opposite action is you do the opposite of what you want to do. So for me, it's a perceived danger. There's no indication that she is in danger. She's driving in the middle of the day on a sunny day, no rain, and she's only been gone for 15 minutes and she was supposed to be gone for an hour and a half. Like there's no danger that I know of. So the action probably wouldn't be helpful. The action of me looking at my phone to see where she is not going to be helpful because it's just going to either show where she said she was going to be or not. And then I'm going to worry.
not.
Yeah. So then the opposite action would be to not look at my phone. So reassess or re-engage is the R. And that is, so you do the opposite action. Like for me, it would be not looking at my phone and then doing something else to like
Okay.
almost distract myself. So, listen to a podcast or do an art project, read a book, something that like makes me not just sitting there going, I'm sitting here and I'm not on my phone.
Right.
And then after that, after you've done that opposite action, you reassess or re-engage. So if you reassess, you're like, okay, there is no danger. Like everything's fine. No, she hasn't called me to say she's in a car accident. I
Yeah.
didn't check her location. Everything's fine.
Right.
Or re-engage, like if you need to deal with the
Good.
situation.
I love this because it's just another way. And I'm just gonna help people who I guess follow me a lot. This is very close to just story versus fact. Right. And that's
Yeah.
something that I
Yeah.
teach,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, is there a fact that there's a problem, or is my brain just spinning a story out of it? And I might just need to wait. So
Yeah.
I love this because it's a similar skill. So I love that you're teaching it in a different way
Yeah.
because so many people just who knows what they'll resonate with. So I love it. I love it.
Yeah. And the next one I think is even more like your story versus fact. Oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
is it? Okay, let's pause right there for a second,
Okay.
just because there's too many acronyms
Okay.
possible. But I love, tell us what it was like for you to to really use the tool, the
Oh, yeah.
fear acronym.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did, and, the funniest part was the people in the webinar were all talking about the different things that they do, like the different examples, like when their kid is in the bathroom, they knock on the door or, and I was so proud of myself because I was like, well, mine's at college in the dorm and all I'm doing is checking her location on her phone. So I don't need to stop that. And then the very next thing he said was checking location on the phone. And I went, oh man.
Uh-huh. There are so many parents in deep anxiety and fear and confusion because of these phones.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is so hard.
Yep.
It's so hard.
Definitely. So I forced myself to ban myself from checking her location on the phone. She still shares it with me because I think it's helpful at times. Like if she's on a date or something and she wants me to know where she is in case I don't hear from her at the time that she says she's going to call me or
Right.
whatever, then I know to like worry, but I force myself not to. And the first couple days were rough. And
I
even
was going to say,
though,
what?
yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
I
No.
I think it's ridiculous because even though 90% of the time I checked her location, she was in her dorm room, I still felt like I needed to check it all the time. I'm like, I don't even where's she gonna go? She doesn't have a
Right.
car. She's
Right.
like,
But how did you do it? How did you because I'm guessing that there was some pretty deep emotion that came
Mhm.
up for you while you're working on letting go of
Yeah,
this.
yeah, it was hard. I I did a lot of opposite action. I did a lot of
Okay.
distraction. I did a lot of art projects. I did a lot of reading. I did a lot of listening to
Okay.
podcasts just to stop. And I did text her a little bit more often because that I was able to taper that a little bit, like to just say, "Hey, how are you doing?" And and not make it be like, "Are you still alive?"
Yeah.
Just a little here and there, more than normal. I mean, I was texting her every morning, good morning, every night, good night, but I did a little more during the day,
I love that.
just to kind of, and she wasn't suspicious at all. And I
And you
was
didn't
even
tell
able to
her.
I didn't tell her.
Okay. I'm gonna say some parents might say like, "Okay, look, I'm, completely obsessed with checking your
Right.
location. It's like an addiction, and so I'm going to back off, and I'm gonna text you more." So that's an
Right,
option,
right.
right?
Yeah, no, I could have said that, but then I was afraid she would, like,
Like,
stop sharing
"What?"
her location with me or something. But yeah, so I did a lot of opposite action. I
Okay.
did a lot of sort of nail biting and, just but the distraction was very helpful. I'm
Okay.
not a TV watcher, but I watched a bunch of shows with my husband, and it was, it took a little while. It took a couple
Yeah.
weeks, but I think that I went probably 4 weeks maybe without checking her location, and then I only started very intermittently after our dog passed away because she was very distraught about that, and so
Yeah.
I was just double checking to see if she was actually going to class because I wasn't sure if she would tell me or not, and that was maybe, you know, once every couple of days or whatever, but
Yeah.
I'm back to not checking anymore,
Oh,
and,
that's amazing. I do know another mom who had she calls it an addiction, which I
mhm,
think is awesome because we're like, sometimes it's hard to relate to our kids and their addictions, but I'm like, "No,
mhm.
we have them. Parents
Yes,
have
I
them."
totally do.
Yeah, and she said she would, to try to cut down on, 20 times a day, she
Mhm,
started to set alarms in her phone, so, like, maybe she went down to 10 times a day, and then the
mhm,
alarm would sound, and she would let herself look, and then she went
mm.
down to, like, 5 times a day, once a day,
Yep,
couple times a week, and she literally weaned herself off of,
yeah.
checking her kid's
Yeah, yeah,
location
that's
every
good. I
single.
did a cold turkey, but it was tough.
Yeah. I love it. There's multiple ways to
Yeah,
do it,
definitely,
so,
definitely.
oh, that's awesome. Any other significant letting goes that you wanted to address? Oh, and there was another acronym. Do you
There
wanna
was
share that?
another one, yeah, and this one sounds a lot more like
Let's have
yours,
it.
and it's SAFE is the word, and it's S is for slow down, so, like, stop.
So when would
Um,
you implement this versus
so
the
this
other?
is almost the same.
Okay,
It's although I would maybe even use this before the fear one
okay. So, like, when
because
you're stressed as a parent, like,
yeah,
high
when you're
emotion,
really
stress,
exactly,
okay,
exactly, you're
brains in
really stressed out.
crisis.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yep. You may if you use this, you might not even need to use the fear one, I think, if you use this and you're able to calm yourself down. But S is slow down,
love
A
it.
is acknowledge your emotion. So, like,
Yep.
what am I feeling right now? I think I'm fear. It's fear, always fear for me. Focus on descriptive reality. So you describe, you kind of just tell a story like, okay, Madeline is at school and I am here and she's been doing great. She's getting straight A's. She texts me multiple times a day to tell me funny stories. She has not shown any signs of being in a bad mood or being upset. Yeah, I mean, she's doing great. There's not really a reason that I should be fearful right now. Just kind of
Okay.
describe the
Okay.
situation as it is.
As
And
it is,
then,
like the fact part of it.
yep, yep. And then E is for engage in self-validation. So you go, you know what? It's okay that I'm scared. Like
Oh, nice. Yeah.
she's my daughter. She's had some problematic behaviors in the past. It's okay that I'm scared. And and then you kind of go back to the descriptive reality. Like I don't need to have fear at this time. And then if you're still, you self-validate, you're like, it's okay that I'm scared. And then if you're still really scared and you just can't stop, then you would do the fear thing, I think.
Okay. What if your descriptive reality in the let's see, that in the
The F,
FSAFE,
yeah.
yeah,
Focus on descriptive reality.
focus on descriptive reality. What if that is, I don't know where they are, I haven't heard from them in 24 hours,
Mhm.
they won't answer their phone, and they turn their location off?
Yeah. Yeah. So
What if it's that?
that would be when you would do the fear on that. You go, this is a real danger because if that's
Ah,
unusual behavior for them, if they don't normally go for 24 hours without texting you, if they normally don't turn off their location, then I would say that's a real danger at that point. Like maybe it's not, maybe they're just being a young adult and they don't want to be followed anymore or whatever. But if they haven't told you that ahead of time, like if you normally hear from your child at least every 24 hours
right.
and they normally have their location on, and then all of a sudden they aren't doing those things and they haven't told you ahead of time. Like, my daughter might say, "Hey mom, I'm not going to I'm not going to text you tomorrow because I'm going to be on this field trip or whatever," then I would know not to hear from her. But she wouldn't just not contact me in 24
Right.
hours. And so
Okay.
then for me in my family situation, that would be a real danger. And I would start implementing an action because that's just very, very out of character for her. But I think it just kind of depends on the arrangement that you have. I mean, I have friends, most of my friends have boys, so they never hear from their children. I
Amen.
have a girl and I hear from her 50 times a day about every possible thing you could imagine. So, it definitely you kind of have to evaluate it based on the baseline pattern.
I like that. Yeah, I like that. Well, we probably do need to wrap up.
Okay.
Is there any, I do wanna ask if there's any other just quick little letting goes that you wanted to share, since I had asked that earlier?
No, I think that's it. I think just, it's really hard to have an adult child and there's lots of letting goes all the time. Like my daughter's going through some gastrointestinal stuff right now and she has to see doctors and get tests done and they don't tell me anything. And
Right.
so it's like your whole like when they turn 18 there's like a whole forced letting go of stuff that you can't,
Definitely
luckily.
needs to be a reassessment
Yeah,
of, okay,
exactly,
what's mine and what's
exactly.
not. Yeah.
But, I will have to say, the thing that helped me a lot when I first started going through this was actually you and your description, and it's very visual, so I don't know how well it would work, but you held your hand out and
I
you imagine that your hand is full of a bunch of things like whatever, cooking dinner and getting gas and little things, big things. And as your child is getting older, you like start handing them some of these things from your hand. And then like if you realize, whoops, they can't quite handle that, you just take it back, and but
take a
you're like
part of it
giving
back.
them, yeah, exactly. You're
Yeah,
giving them, and you're kind of doing that their whole life, right? It's just
exactly.
when they're 2, you're, like, letting them go down the slide by themselves or whatever, and it's like you're kinda it just gets a lot scarier when they're young adults because they can get into a lot more trouble.
They
But
sure
I
can.
think if you just remember you've been handing them stuff their whole life, and if you have done that well their whole life, then it's okay to keep handing them bigger and bigger things.
And if you
Um
haven't, there's just no time like the present, right?
Right.
And you can
Yep.
start small. You can baby step like, okay, maybe they can't pay for, you know, 100% of their car insurance, but maybe they can pay for the gas,
Yeah, exactly.
and maybe they can pay for part of it. Or I mean, there's so many things that we might be doing that we want to be changing to help our children adult better,
Mhm. Yep,
right? And just
yep,
letting go. So,
yep.
thank you so much. It is
Yes,
always
of course.
so fun to have you. And yeah, I appreciate your time and all your lived knowledge.
Oh, thanks, Beth. Well, I appreciate you always you've been there since the beginning, so you know what we went through, and I think for you, it's also probably gratifying to see where Madeline has ended up and where we've all ended up.
Well, it is. I'm grateful for parents who do their work.
Mhm.
I am.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
just want to, which is why I started this podcast and 2.5 years ago, anyways, because I want those who want to do their work, I just want to give them every opportunity to
yeah,
try to
yeah,
figure it out
yeah,
because our children are so better off when the parents dig in,
yeah. I
you know.
agree.
So, and thank you, Michelle. Thank you so much for everything today.
Of course. Thanks, Beth.
Okay, bye, everybody.